This isn't a story about technology. It's about the moment he stopped lying to customers. Michael Dell didn't start with a network. He didn't have investors, mentors, or family connections. He had a dorm room and a question. Why are people paying for things they don't need? That question exposed an industry built on markup, mystery, and middlemen. He didn't grow up privileged. He learned value by selling newspapers door to door, not for cash, for data. Which houses subscribed, which headlines sold more, which neighborhoods bought twice. Michael learned early, people buy truth if you present it clearly. When he got to the University of Texas, nothing made sense to him. Professors lectured about business, but none of them did business. Students competed for grades. He competed for customers. He didn't party. He skipped class to build. He ordered PC parts wholesale. He assembled machines silently on his dorm floor. He sold them to anyone tired of retail trickery. Customers told him what they needed. He listened. No upsell, no forced upgrades, no premium bundle. Just tell me what you need, I'll build that. Orders came in quietly, then loudly. He wasn't running a business. He was solving a problem retail refused to admit existed. But success doesn't look heroic at the start. It looked suspicious. Neighbors questioned him. Administrators warned him. Parents panicked. You're wasting your education. You need a real career. You'll regret this. He listened respectfully, then ignored them. He wasn't chasing a diploma. He was chasing clarity. Classrooms move slow. Markets don't wait. His parents demanded a meeting. He sat across the table while they asked him to stop dismantling his future. He said nothing, then went back to his dorm and filled more orders. The university told him to shut it down. His father begged him to get serious, so he did. He got serious enough to drop out. Not because he hated school, because school was costing him growth. He left quietly, no speech, no drama, just a kid with a folding table and a philosophy. If I give people the truth, they'll give me the order. He started calling suppliers. They didn't care who he was. He had no reputation, no track record, no leverage. They dismissed him. They ignored him. Some laughed at him. Rejection wasn't a setback. It was calibration. It taught him who sold parts, who moved volume, who pretended to help. He used spreadsheets as weapons. Data told him what retail would never admit. Most machines were overpriced by design. Customers didn't know. Retailers didn't tell. Michael saw an opening. Build to order plus direct to customer equals no waste, no hype, no lies. He built a system with no fat, inventory minimal, cash flow tight, feedback immediate. When old school distributors heard this, they fired him out of meetings. You'll destroy the channel. You'll never scale. Nobody wants to buy a computer they can't see. He said nothing. He went back and processed more orders. Word spread without advertising, not because he was innovative, because he was honest. People are starved for honesty in industries built on confusion. Dell didn't disrupt with technology. He disrupted with transparency. Retail was a maze designed to exhaust you. Dell was a straight line designed to respect you. In an industry of secrets, he sold clarity. While competitors were forecasting demand, Michael was reading today's orders. While they built warehouses full of machines people didn't want, Michael built machines for real people asking for specific things. More memory, cheaper components, better monitors, no useless software. Truth scales fast when it saves people money. By the time investors noticed, Dell was already too big to ignore. By the time competitors reacted, Dell had already rewritten customer expectations. This wasn't genius. It was listening. This wasn't rebellion. It was alignment. Customers didn't need hype. They needed honesty. Orders didn't make him proud. They made him nervous. Because demand exposes weakness. He needed suppliers, real suppliers, consistent parts, predictable lead times. But suppliers didn't need him. He wasn't IBM. He wasn't Compaq. He wasn't anyone. He was a kid in Texas moving units out of a tiny office. When he asked for credit terms, they declined. When he asked for bulk pricing, they laughed. When he asked for support, they pointed to competitors. Rejection didn't stop him, it informed him. If one supplier refused, he called the next. If pricing was bad, he negotiated volume. If deals fell through, he adjusted specs. He didn't demand loyalty. He earned reliability. Meanwhile, customers kept sending signals. They didn't want flash. They didn't want gimmicks. They wanted control. Control over parts. Control over cost. Control over performance. This flipped the entire PC narrative. Computers weren't fashion. They were tools. Retailers sold fashion. Dell sold tools. which meant Dell sold truth. He built machines component by component exactly as requested. No inventory risk, no sales manipulation, no hidden bundles. Just tell us what you need and we'll build it. The simplicity terrified the industry because simplicity removes excuses. Retailers relied on complexity. Complexity justified price. Price protected margin. Michael broke that shield. He didn't fight in stores, he fought in minds. And minds spread faster than marketing. His office grew, not elegantly, not efficiently. Tables stacked with parts, boxes piled in corners, phone lines ringing more than they could answer. Customers weren't impressed by glamour, they were impressed by responsiveness. If a part failed, Dell replaced it. If a configuration was wrong, Dell fixed it. If shipping was late, Dell apologized and credited. Every problem fed the loop. Problems, feedback, adjustment, advantage. While competitors hid behind warranties and fine print, Dell treated problems like product research. Then came the moment that should have ended everything. A major supplier terminated their agreement. They claimed it wasn't personal, it was logistical. But everyone knew the truth. Dell's model threatened the channel. Most companies would freeze. Most founders would panic. Most boards would pivot. Michael did something else. He flew out. He met the supplier in person. He presented data, not charm, not vision. Data, order volumes, failure rates, forecast accuracy, customer segments. He didn't ask for favors. He offered clarity. Suppliers don't love dreamers. Suppliers love predictability. Predictability is currency. Clarity is collateral. He walked out with better terms than before. That moment defined the company. When cut off, create certainty. When rejected, present truth. When outgunned, outmeasured. Michael wasn't building a brand. He was building trust. Trust with suppliers, trust with customers, trust with reality. Meanwhile, corporate buyers started paying attention. They didn't care about hype. They cared about uptime. Retail couldn't answer uptime. Dell could configure around it. More RAM for databases, better cooling for servers, cheaper units for clerical tasks, specialized builds for engineering labs. Retail sold bestsellers. Dell sold what you need. Corporate IT managers talked to each other. One contract became two. Two became 10, 10 became a sector. That sector validated the model. Direct sales weren't a gimmick, they were an evolution. Competitors still mocked him publicly. But mocking wasn't strategy. Mocking was denial. In quiet boardrooms, fear replaced mockery because Dell wasn't playing the same game. He wasn't building inventory, he was building systems. He wasn't buying shelf space, he was buying time. He wasn't chasing labels, he was chasing requirements. Direct truth beat indirect tradition. By the time analysts noticed, they didn't ask, is Dell viable? They asked, why didn't we see this coming? Competitors still believed Dell was a retail anomaly. Something small, something local, something temporary. They didn't understand the threat because they didn't understand the truth. Dell wasn't winning with machines. Dell was winning with information. Every order carried data, what customers wanted, what they didn't, what failed, what lasted, what price points converted, what specs mattered in the real world. Retail couldn't see that. Retail was blind by design. Warehouses filled with guesses. Salespeople pushed those guesses. Customers paid for those guesses. Dell removed the guessing. That made the industry uncomfortable. Truth always does. Then the PC boom hit. Corporations modernized, governments digitized, schools standardized. Everyone needed machines, fast. Retail cracked under the pressure. Lead times ballooned, margins collapsed. Forecasts failed. Dell grew smoother under the same pressure because direct systems accelerate under demand while indirect systems suffocate. Michael didn't brag, he optimized. He built factories around one rule. If the order hasn't arrived yet, don't build the machine. That rule changed everything. No obsolete inventory, no discount fire sales, no bloated warehouses. Competitors misread it as minimalism. It was precision, and precision produces consequences. One morning, the Wall Street Journal printed a headline about Dell's model. Not hype, analysis. Direct sales, low inventory, high responsiveness, configurable builds. The article did what Dell never invested in, marketing. Executives called their IT teams asking, why aren't we buying from Dell? Retail giants scrambled. Like all threatened industries, their first move wasn't innovation, it was denial. They told customers Dell machines were lower quality. Customers laughed. They had invoices and uptime data. They told suppliers Dell was dangerous. Suppliers checked the purchase orders. They told each other Dell was a fad. The earnings reports disagreed. Meanwhile, Michael stared at a different problem. Growth without control is chaos. He wasn't afraid of competitors. He was afraid of dilution. He didn't want to become another slow, heavy corporation. So he built the opposite. Factories built like brains, not warehouses. Supply chains built like circulatory systems, not pipes. Feedback built like reflexes, not surveys. While the world tried to scale muscle, Dell tried to scale nervous system. And nervous systems adapt faster than muscle ever will. Corporations noticed. Orders increased. Then governments noticed. Contracts landed. Then analysts noticed. The stock reflected it. This triggered the final stage of industry panic, imitation. But imitation without understanding creates disaster. Competitors tried direct models. They skipped the listening part. They skipped the inventory discipline. They skipped the supplier relationships. They skipped the uncomfortable truth. Direct sales without transparency is just a website. Michael watched in amusement because they were copying tactics, not foundations. Dell's foundation was built long before factories. It was built at 12 years old, selling newspapers. It was built in a dorm room, measuring demand. It was built on questions retail refused to ask. By the time they realized that, it was already too late. The industry didn't lose to a dropout. It lost to its own refusal to tell the truth. Dell didn't scale because the market grew. Dell scaled because the market finally ran out of excuses. When companies get big, they get political. Layers form, approval chains grow, truth gets filtered until it's convenient. Michael hated filters. He kept asking the same boring, uncomfortable question. What does the customer actually need today? Not next year. Not after a redesign. Not after a marketing cycle. Today, competitors plan product lines 2 years out. Dell planned production cycles 2 days out. That wasn't luck. That was a system built for the present. The present is unforgiving. The present forces honesty. The present exposes waste. Waste is what kills corporations. Waste is what Dell eliminated. Executives kept trying to understand his strategy. There was no strategy. There was responsiveness. Responsiveness looks chaotic to slow companies. It looks logical to customers. Then the internet arrived. Retail wasn't just inconvenient now. It was outdated. Direct sales weren't strange anymore. They were expected. Dell didn't adapt to the internet. The internet adapted to Dell. Suddenly, the entire world wanted what Dell was already optimized for. Customization, transparency, direct fulfillment, real-time communication. Competitors started talking about customer centricity. Michael didn't join that conversation. He was too busy answering the phone. He wasn't chasing the future. He was absorbing the present faster than anyone. Absorption created dominance. Government contracts grew. Enterprise deals expanded. International orders accelerated. But every scale event revealed fragility. Fragility creates two kinds of leaders, the ones who protect themselves and the ones who protect the system. Michael wasn't building a legacy. He was building a machine that didn't need him. So he did something rare for a founder who was winning. He stepped back, not to exit, not to retire, to prevent ego from controlling the system. Founders who stay too long corrupt culture. Founders who leave too early corrupt momentum. He stayed just long enough to stabilize, then stepped away just before he became the bottleneck. The press framed it as maturity. Investors framed it as governance. Competitors framed it as weakness. They were all wrong. It was calibration. Dell didn't become a titan because Michael was brilliant. It became a titan because Michael removed everything that slowed down truth. Truth about pricing, truth about demand, truth about failures, truth about what customers actually needed. Industries die when they ignore truth long enough. Michael built a company that couldn't ignore it even if it tried. By the time his critics understood that, Dell wasn't a company anymore. It was infrastructure. Dell wasn't a miracle. It was a mirror. A mirror held up to an industry that hated transparency. While others hid behind marketing, Dell exposed margins. While others padded prices, Dell itemized parts. While others forecasted demand, Dell waited for demand to speak. And customers rewarded the one company that treated them like adults. But momentum has a dark side. When you become the standard, the world tries to replace you. Innovation attracts challengers. Scale attracts imitators. Success attracts regulators. Michael knew it was coming. So he did what most founders refuse to do. He prepared for a world after himself. He groomed operators who didn't worship him. He designed processes that didn't require his intuition. He built culture around measurement, not charisma. Measurement survives, charisma decays. Then came the crash, the dot-com collapse. Companies folded overnight, fortunes evaporated, tech optimism turned to fear, retail giants bled, startups died in clusters. Dell adapted, because Dell never lived on hype, it lived on cash flow. When panic hit the market, Dell ran math. Math cut inventory. Math protected margins. Math redirected production. And while the world screamed, Dell whispered. Panic is loud. Discipline is quiet. When the smoke cleared, competitors were weaker. Dell was stronger. Analysts called it resilience. Michael called it preparation. But the real test was private, not public. The test wasn't the economy, it was identity. What happens to a company when its founder steps outside the cockpit? For most, chaos. For Dell, continuity. Because Dell the company was no longer Dell the man. It was a philosophy. Directness over decoration. Measurement over mythology. Truth over tradition. Then Michael shocked the market. He took the company private. Nobody understood it at first. Why leave the public markets? Why remove transparency? Why risk everything again? The answer was simple. Growth requires honesty. Public markets don't pay for honesty. They pay for predictions. Prediction corrupts truth. Michael refused corruption. By going private, he removed the single biggest obstacle to adaptation, the quarterly scoreboard. Without it, Dell could rebuild. Without it, Dell could rewire. Without it, Dell could think in decades again. Competitors chased earnings calls. Dell chased relevance. And relevance is the only scoreboard that matters. Years later, when the company returned to the public market, it didn't come back for validation. It came back to demonstrate that the decision worked. It wasn't a comeback, it was a continuation. The dropout, the kid with no network, the founder with no pedigree. He didn't beat the industry by outcoding it. He beat it by outlistening it. Direct truth is uncomfortable. Direct truth is expensive, but direct truth scales. And in the end, that's why Dell survived while legends collapsed around it. Not because Michael Dell was fearless, but because he was honest. Most founders get remembered for disruption. Michael Dell will be remembered for something quieter, calibration. He didn't try to change the world overnight. He adjusted it inch by inch, one assumption at a time, one supply chain at a time, one customer truth at a time. Disruption is loud because it breaks things. Calibration is quiet because it aligns things. Alignment lasts longer. When people study Dell's rise, they look for genius. There isn't any. There's something rarer, submission to reality. Reality doesn't care about hype. Reality doesn't care about ego. Reality doesn't care about projections. Reality cares about truth. And the truth was simple. People don't buy computers. People buy solutions. Retail sold boxes. Dell sold outcomes. Every machine had a purpose before it existed. Every component was justified by a need. Every purchase was a conversation, not a transaction. That philosophy did something the industry never intended. It democratized technology. Not everyone could buy the biggest or fastest rigs, but everyone could buy what they needed. Needs scale. Dreams don't. In the end, the industry didn't lose to a dropout. It lost to its own refusal to be honest with customers. Michael was rejected because he exposed that dishonesty. He was fired from partnerships because he undermined the channel. He was underestimated because he refused to decorate the truth. But truth compounds. Truth compounds in efficiency. Truth compounds in trust. Truth compounds in customer loyalty. One day you wake up and the honest company is the largest supplier in corporate America. Not because they marketed harder, but because they lied less. Michael Dell didn't win by being brilliant, he won by being accurate. Accuracy is a form of respect, and customers remember who respects them. The final irony is almost comedic. Dell became a trillion-dollar supply chain organism because one kid in a dorm room asked a question adults were too proud to ask: why are we selling people things they don't need? Industries collapse when they ignore questions like that. People rise when they refuse to. Most people romanticize success. Dell's story kills the romance. There was no manifesto, no keynote, no grand reveal. Just a kid removing everything between the customer and the truth. He wasn't trying to be iconic, he was trying to be accurate. Accuracy made him dangerous. Because when you see reality clearly, you stop accepting the rules built to obscure it. Rules like, you need retail to scale. You need connections to get suppliers. You need marketing to convince customers. You need pedigree to raise capital. Michael proved you only need one thing: proof. Proof you can deliver what you promise. Proof you understand your customer better than the industry does. Proof you're willing to tell the truth even when it costs you. That's why Dell survived. That's why the others didn't. They built forecasts. Michael built feedback. They built hype cycles. Michael built supply chains. They built shelf space. Michael built trust. A dropout with no network shouldn't beat giants. But giants collapse when customers stop believing in them. Customers never stopped believing in Dell because Dell never tried to be anything other than what it was: a machine for turning honesty into hardware. Michael didn't build a computer company. He built a listening company. Computers were just the output. Listening was the input. And listening is the rarest skill in business.